Irys verifies and commits. Irys inverts this. Verify then generate. Candidate reasoning paths are generated in latent space, compressed representations, not committed tokens. These are cheap. Generating 5 candidate paths costs a fraction of what generating 1 full token sequence costs. Each path encodes a potential reasoning direction, an interpretation of the contract clause, a way to apply the precedent, an angle on the exception. Before a single output token exists, each candidate path runs through independent judges. Not one reward model returning a scalar. Multiple judges, each checking a different property. Is this path logically consistent with the premises? Is it grounded in the retrieved evidence? Does it account for the exceptions that limit the rule? Does it cohere with the prior analysis? Paths that fail any judge are killed in latent space. No tokens are committed. Flawed paths are caught more often and earlier because verification happens before commitment rather than after. The bad paths never exist as text. They never get built on. They never create the cascade where a wrong assumption in step 3 produces a confidently wrong conclusion in step 12. Only paths that survive multi-judge verification get decoded into actual tokens. The output is the result of verified reasoning, not a transcript of pattern matching that looks like reasoning. The difference isn't subtle. In reasoning theatre, the model writes the river is on one of the 200m sides, and builds 12 steps on that assumption. In verified reasoning, one judge flags that the problem doesn't specify which side the river is on, and that candidate path either gets pruned or gets branched into both interpretations, each evaluated independently. Reasoning theatre generates and hopes. Irys verifies and commits. One process produces confident-sounding text that may or may not be correct. The other process produces text that has survived structured scrutiny before it exists, and the faithfulness problem is structurally reduced. Earlier error detection replaces post hoc rationalization. In reasoning theatre, the trace doesn't reflect the process, that's the anthropic finding. In Irys, the gap between trace and process shrinks because the trace is the process. The judge verdicts are the actual evaluation, not a post hoc narrative about it. When a judge says this path failed consistency, that's what happened. It's not a reconstruction. It's a log. The system's reasoning is faithful by construction, not by training, because the verification steps are real computational operations, not learned text patterns that mimic deliberation.